Hi and welcome to the Super Game Bros podcast. This is episode 2. I'm your host, Ricky McMillan, and joining me tonight, as usual, is graphic designer Will Rocket Jump Hamilton. Hi Will, how you doing?
I'm alright, mate. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Now, as you know, we're right on the eve of E3. Nintendo had a video presentation earlier on today about their new Super Smash Bros. Uh, amiibos and characters that they're introducing into the game for E3, as well as their new championship tournament thing. So, well, what about yourself? Do you think that that's a good move from Nintendo? With the amiibos.
Say that again, mate. Sorry, it broke up.
The amiibos, they've just announced another 7 amiibos for Super Smash Brothers.
Right, aye. The new amiibos. Honestly, I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that have got, they're going out and they're buying each of the amiibos as they're launched. But I'm not one to buy them myself. To be fair with you, because it's the same idea as like the Skylanders and the Infinity characters and all that kind of stuff. They add extras to games that you've already got, but they don't add anything substantial, in my opinion.
I do see that point. One of the things that strikes me as really strange as well about the amiibos is the fact that a lot of people who are buying them are just they don't even own a Wii U. They're just buying them to collect.
Aye. That's another one of these. It's one of the collection things as well that you get a lot of people doing it just for the sake of having them, keep them in their boxes and hoping that they're going to make money or they're going to be worth a lot of money in the future.
Yeah.
Which a lot of them end up not being because they're flooding the market with so many of them. I mean, you get the gold ones and some of the rarer ones, but ones that really are really worth the money are the ones that have got the physical defects. Like there was one of the characters, I think it was Mega Man, and he released with the gun on the wrong arm. So it's one of the types that they're really only worth any money if there's something wrong with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's going to be so many of them flooding the market of just the usual types that they're not going to be worth any money for at least a good 30 years.
Exactly, and that's especially if they're, you know, not in the wrappers or anything like that. Because as you know, the collector's market, the price depends on whether or not they're, brand new, still in the packet or not. You
Aye,
know,
aye.
and the difference can be substantial. I mean, I heard a story a couple of years back now where Chewbacca, when Kenner Toys were doing the Star Wars line, they
Right,
released they released two versions of Chewbacca, one with a removable bandolier and one without.
right.
Uh, the bandolier was molded onto him. Now, the thing with the
Aye.
removable bandolier is that you could see that was loose in the packet when you bought him. I heard a story where one of those was sold for £10,000. I don't think amiibos in 30 years' time are going to reach, prices that high. But I do think
That's a fair bit of money as well.
I do think there will be a massive collector's market in the future for them. But we digress. I want to move on now to Bethesda's presentation, which, as we record this, we're only a couple of hours away from. Uh,
That's right.
what do you expect to see other than the obvious Fallout 4 announcement that we know is going to take place?
Well, obviously Fallout 4. I mean, to anybody that's been watching the news over like the gaming news at least over the last few hours and maybe the last couple of days, um, there was the apparent leak of other information that was coming out,
Yeah.
which, to be fair, it does seem as if it was set up.
Oh, definitely.
Uh, I mean, if you want to explain that a wee bit further, you can do.
Okay.
I'm staying on the fence to that kind of one.
Now, let's just say there are certain people who, shall we say, accidentally on purpose gave out information, uh, knowing that the people who they were giving the information to were going to, shall we say, tell the world, whether it be Twitter or on Facebook or wherever, whatever. Uh, but the fact is, Fallout 4, we knew that the leaks the day before the official announcement were leaks where you had to act upon them, you had to get in on them. Uh, the fact is, I think, from what I've heard, we're going to see the Fallout 4 presentation itself is going to be, it'll be video footage. I predict it's going to be in-game footage. It's going to be actual gameplay footage. But I think we're going to get a stage show as well that's been directed by Guillermo del Toro's company, Merida Entertainments, who allegedly have signed their contract way back in March to produce a live-action trailer for Fallout 4. This trailer might come in the form of a stage show at Bethesda's presentation. I don't know, what's your take on that? Well, do you think that's something they would be likely to do?
To be fair, I mean, Guillermo del Toro, he's a fairly big director, and he's more and more getting himself involved in the gaming industry. Obviously, with Silent Hills, which is now completely off the cards when it comes to gaming and Konami and all that kind of stuff. Which, let's be honest, there is always the idea that it could come back at some point if another studio gives Konami enough money, because that seems to be what it's all about these days, is how much money you can throw at something. But I don't know. I mean, there was, what game was it? Skyrim. I think when Skyrim was first teased and stuff, it was a live action trailer as well, so it could easily be that.
What, the new Elder Scrolls game, the reputed?
No. For Fallout, it could be something similar to that, because obviously the Skyrim trailer was exactly the same. The original Skyrim trailer was live action recorded, and obviously some guy with the horned helmet walking through the crowd to fight the dragon type thing. So it could easily be something similar to that. It could be a pack of super mutants coming into a town, and a guy in one of the Vault uniforms pops out, taps on the Pip Boy, and then starts taking out super mutants with a massive gun. But I suppose there's no real way of telling up until the event later on. So I mean, we'll find out sooner or later, and on the next podcast we'll go into detail on what it was. So it's all down to waiting.
What about Bethesda and their partnership with ID Software? What about, the grandfather of all first-person shooters? What about the new Doom?
Doom's one of the ones that was on my list. I'm really hoping that they are going to show it, but again, I don't think Bethesda want to. I don't think they want to put all their eggs in one basket. They may just show a video of it again. I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be there, but I'm not going to hope. I'm not going to. Well, it's literally. I mean, it's only been a couple of weeks since we first found out of his existence, so it's one of those.
I believe it's on the games that are confirmed for E3.
Right.
I actually do think.
Aye. Well, I think if it, I mean, it's, what companies are like. I mean, they can change their mind, or they can leak this and pretend that stuff's going to happen. But I think if it is going to be there, then there's a good chance it's probably just going to be video. It won't be. I don't think it'll be any gameplay. I think it's too early for that.
Do you think so? Yeah.
I think it's too early for it. I don't even think it'll have a release this year.
What, the Doom game? I don't think that. I think
no, I don't think Doom will get a release this year. I think obviously with Fallout, they've got Elder Scrolls Online just released on console. Fallout 4, as it tends to happen with the Fallout games, it tends to be with they announce it around about this time of year, and then it releases in October. So I think I don't think they want to muddy the waters of having Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout releasing this year, and then want to put Doom in there as well, because they'll be trying to. They'll have the games basically competing with each other.
Yeah, well, this is very, very, very true. I mean, EA, they confirmed their list of games today. I'm going to move on from Bethesda and talk a wee bit about EA, because from what I've been reading all day, there's been a few surprises with some of the confirmed games from EA. Now their E3 press conference starts at 1 PM Pacific daytime, which is 9 o'clock tomorrow night our time. Andrew Wilson's going to be the host. Now, obviously, there's sports games. They show them every year. This year, one of strange ones is that there's going to be 2 FIFA games. There's going to be FIFA 16 and EA Sports FIFA. Now, I think that's
that is an odd one, to be fair.
You know, plus they've got their Madden games, of which this year there's going to be a mobile game, and EA have signed an agreement with the creators of the Despicable Me movies to make a Minions Paradise game. Just they're going to announce that just in time for the Minions movie to be released now.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be cashing in on some hype there, but it is.
It's very possible. It is very possible.
We obviously know now that Mirror's Edge Catalyst is going to be, shown for the first time.
Yep.
It's been all over the internet for the last 5-6 days. We've all seen by now the covers. We know that this is the prequel, and that it's going to be telling Faith's backstory up to a point. We haven't seen any gameplay or anything from it. Do you expect anything new? Personally, I don't. I think it's going to be Mirror's Edge. It's just going to look much better, and it's going to have the storyline is going to be cohesive to the point where they're going to try and draw you in, and much the same as Naughty Dog did with Last of Us, make you empathise and want the character to succeed.
Aye. See, Mirror's Edge is one of those ones you can't really draw on the past type thing, because it's been so long since the last game. They could completely change the art style, and it would do nothing for or anything bad to the game. To be fair, I mean, they could different. Where do you go with this? It could be a completely different scheme with regard to how she moves, how she fights. I mean, obviously it's a prequel of sorts, so there's every possibility that that they're going to have the game where she isn't as skilled with her free running and her parkour. And part of this game is going to be teaching you each and every one of the skills that she had from the start in the original game.
So you think that the progression, the skill progression, which seems to be inimical with most of these games now, do you think the skill progression is going to be based on Faith's parkour abilities?
Well, I think that might be what it is. I think there will be a skill tree in this one where it, with regard to what she can do and when she can do it. There's got to be some kind of inbuilt story to it that facilitates how and when she learns each of her abilities and all that kind of thing as well. Obviously, some of the backstory's got to go into how she became who she is. So there's got to be some kind of tragedy in her life, etc.
Yeah. For
to lead towards how she becomes the person that she is in the first game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. That one has got. That's probably one of the ones that interests me the most in the EA presentation. Now, there's also obviously the new Need for Speed game that we know is coming out. Now, personally, knowing that it's been done in the Frostbite engine, which was the same engine used for Need for Speed Run and the last Need for Speed Most Wanted that Criterion released. As you know, I'm a fan of car games, racing games, that sort of thing, and I did not care for the Run.
No, the Run was a horrible game. I mean, no offense to any of the guys at Criterion who made the game. I mean, because I actually do know a couple of people who work at Criterion, but the run was far too linear, and it just wasn't the game that people expected from it, from the advertising, etc. So it's I wasn't a fan of the Run. I've got a friend who gave the Run a 10 out of 10 when it was first released, and I still up until this day still take the piss out of him for it, because he defends that 10 out of 10, which I think is hilarious, because he shouldn't. It's a horrible game.
It is a horrible game. I think I was up at a friend's house, and I had one shot of one race where the car I'm driving, I can't remember what it was. We'll say it was a Dodge Viper. I don't think it was, right? But we'll say it was a Dodge Viper. And I'm either overtaken far too easily in a car that I shouldn't be overtaken that easily with,
Mhm.
or
Oh, the rubber banding was disgusting as well. It was. It didn't matter how good you were in the game. There was always a car that was just close to you. I mean, you could be the best game. You could be the best racer in the world,
yes,
and you could hit every point and get every corner and pass every piece of traffic, and there would always be a car just seconds behind you. The minute you messed up, there was a car right there to take over. So there was definitely something up with the game that, and I mean, there was no way to turn the difficulty up and down for that kind of stuff. Either, obviously, rubber banding's there for when you aren't as such a good gamer, and it keeps the cars from getting too far ahead of you. But it shouldn't be there if you're like one of the world's top racing drivers.
yes.
It shouldn't be there for you to be able to be taken over so quickly, so easily. If you're as good as you are at that game, then it should show that you're that good.
Now, as you also know, up to the point of last Thursday, uh, EA had only really confirmed uh, the new Need for Speed Battlefront, which was an obvious one, and the new Plants vs Zombies game. Now, Plants vs Zombies, the first one, it's actually a really fun game to play. You know, and the fact that EA gave it away at E3 last year leads me to think that they're probably going to give away something this year as well, possibly Battlefield 4. I don't know, but the three big ones that I think are going to be for EA are going to be obviously Battlefront, the
Okay.
new Mass Effect game.
Right, yeah.
I also believe that they're going to announce another Star Wars title, and I personally, and I know that they've confirmed there's a good chance there's going to be a second Star Wars title. I personally hope that it's an RPG.
Well, there is every possibility. I mean, they could always go back to Knights of the Old Republic, which I think's a fantastic game. I mean, I had that for the original Xbox, and I played that to death.
Yes.
The first and second one. Um, the fact that they don't have anything in EA are one of the few developers that are really really bad at keeping secrets. I mean, they're constantly being leaked. They're such a large company that they can't keep leaks from happening sometimes.
Yeah.
And the people who are doing the leaking are so good at getting information out that they can just turn around and say to somebody randomly in a forum using whatever name they want, this happened. And then they'll pass it on and they'll pass it on, and then it becomes one of those roll-on effects where it gets bigger and bigger. It snowballs, and then the whole internet find out about it within hours. So
Aye.
if there was going to be an RPG, then they probably would do. The only thing I can think of is that they've got an enclosed team who are working on this, and they've been told under probably under risk of being fired, and not just themselves, everybody. And it's one of those ones where if the world finds out about this, everybody's gone because we can't tell who it was that did it.
Yes.
Personally, I'm hoping that they've got a hold of 3030 and they've kept it so well under wraps that it may be one of those secret ones that they turn around and say, yeah, well, this is still in development, because it was so close to being finished anyway.
See if it is 1313. I will play a game of football with you, and then I will eat your sweaty t-shirt. That's 1313.
Nice.
1313, from what I've seen of it, that's a must.
So, I mean, that's what I mean. It was so close to being finished as well. It's just a shame that it never was.
Yeah, I mean 5%. You know, going back to Bethesda a wee moment. Speaking of leaks, did you read about the Dishonored 2 leak?
I didn't.
No, right. They were. I think they were actually. I think it was during a rehearsal for their actual presentation,
Oh right, yeah,
and
this is the one that
somebody
they
left
were
a video
somebody
behind.
was rehearsing in the background of their Twitch stream or something like that, and
Aye.
it seemed as if it was far too rehearsed.
That it wasn't just that. The the Twitch mic was on. And he said Dishonored 2. Now,
Aye.
I don't know if it was deliberate or not. And I wouldn't like to speculate, not this close to their press conference anyway. But what I can say is that I know that news made a lot of people happy.
Oh, definitely would have done. Aye.
But
I mean, I'm a massive fan of the Dishonored game as well. I got that one sent out to me for review when it first came out, and it was my game of the year. That's how much a decent game it was. It was my game of the year because it was. If anybody's ever played Thief, it's a lot like Thief. It's the ability to be stealthy but still killing people with a view to getting somewhere else without having to be. You're not just being sneaky for the sake of being sneaky. It's one of the ways you can actually play the game. I mean, there's a lot of stealth games out there. It's the same idea as that, but it's the supernatural element to it as well, which made it different. But the sheer scope of the game as well was fantastic. I loved it.
yeah, it was fantastic. It actually was fantastic. Now, moving on from EA, we've obviously got the big two tomorrow are Sony and Microsoft. Microsoft go first. Uh, Other than Halo 5, which I think there's going to be, that's going to end Microsoft's presentation, and it's going to be very similar in a way to the Fallout one, where it's going to be a live stage show. You're going to have the Master Chief and other Spartans there, Buck and all of them. You're going to have all of that there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Microsoft have got anything? Obviously, they've held a lot back, but do you think that there's anything that they're going to announce that's going to shock people? Other than an actual release date for Quantum Break?
Honestly, don't think so. As far as I've been told as well, some of the games that were supposed to be at E3 are being pulled back as well because they just aren't wowing enough. I think.
So, do you think that Microsoft don't have anything hidden away? A particular game that's exclusive to them, obviously.
Oh well, I know that they're bringing Halo. I know that they're bringing Gears of War. Let's see, what else have we got? They were supposed to be bringing. Is it Scalebound?
Yes, I heard about
but
that.
I think that one's been pushed back. I don't think they're going to be showing that anymore.
I think that they've now scheduled that for Gamescom later on in the year.
It's very possible. What else? I think they may actually push some stuff, obviously because of the recent announcement of their deal with Oculus Rift. I think they may be pushing some stuff out their way to put that in on one of their stage shows while they've got the time. And obviously they don't have a lot of time, but they've got enough.
Yeah. Well, the Oculus Rift deal, I thought that, to me, that was a strange thing. It wasn't just a couple of months ago that Phil Spencer was saying VR that's not the way to go. That sort of thing. The augmented reality road.
He was trying to push HoloLens, but I don't think HoloLens is going to wow the way they were thought. And obviously because Sony's got their Project Morpheus, which they've announced they will be showing something of at E3, then they need to compete. I mean, at the end of the day, Microsoft have been on the losing end of this fight since release because of the U-turns that they did and the faith that they lost from a lot of their fans. I mean, a lot of people jumped ship straight to PlayStation when they started pissing about the DRM.
Yes.
So it's very possible that they've got into bed with Facebook and Oculus Rift because they need to compete. They've got to have the same thing as Sony, otherwise they're going to lose out to them.
Well, yeah, but do you think?
But at the same time, I mean, I've tried the Oculus Rift. I tried it at Eurogamer last year, and it is quite a decent piece of technology. It's something that could easily be. I mean, for obviously the $300 mark, it's not going to be something everybody's got. It's going to be one of those. Well, we're not having there's not going to be any console releases this year, so HoloLens is going to be the big present. But I mean, for that kind of money, I'd expect almost every game that Microsoft released to have some kind of Oculus Rift ability. Like for every first-person shooter, you've got to be able to turn your head and look at stuff. For driving games, you've got to be able to look behind you and be able to see out the back of your car at other drivers.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that's implemented into every game. Otherwise, it's not going to be worth the money that they're asking for. Because look at Kinect. When Kinect was first released, it was an extortionate amount of money for what people thought was just a camera, which it ended up basically being. It was just a camera and a microphone. It was essentially a webcam that was able to see you a wee bit better than a normal webcam would.
Yeah, see, I think more people actually used it to make Skype calls.
Well, that was it. I mean, it was because they'd bought Skype. Microsoft had bought Skype, and they're like, "Oh, well, you can do this with it as well." But they never pushed enough into it. And like I think we'd went on this with last week's podcast as well. The most innovative thing I've ever seen with the Kinect camera was somebody used it because the actual drivers and stuff were open source. Somebody used it to be able to control Skyrim on their PC with.
Yeah.
And that's the most I've ever seen a Kinect being used for, was something that wasn't even supposed to. Well, obviously because it was open source, anybody can use it for anything they want. But Microsoft and Bethesda had never even thought of this to the actual extremes that the guy had written it for. He was able to control his characters. He was able to move. He was able to change stuff, all with body movements. He didn't need the controller at all. But the Kinect, when you played it on the 360 with Skyrim, all you could do was move through menus and use your shouts and a couple of other things. You weren't able to do anything anywhere near the extent of what this guy had done on his own in his bedroom.
The Kinect was very disappointing. It got the sports games for the Kinect.
Aye, well, I mean, that was it. I mean, they had rare make one of the best Kinect games possible, but it was a one trick pony, to be fair. It was one of those ones where you get it and you can use it for a couple of things, or you don't and you don't. I mean, my Kinect on my Xbox One, I basically just use it to record video. Every once in a while I'll shout Xbox record that, and that is all my Kinect does. The only other decent thing it does is pick me up. As soon as I turn my Xbox and I sit down in front of it, it signs me in because it can see my face. There is literally nothing else it's good for. But it came with my Xbox, so it's part of the Xbox.
Yeah. See,
which was another U-turn that Microsoft put in there. It was it's got to come with the Xbox or the Xbox One. The Xbox One won't work without it. And then 6 months later, they're selling Xbox Ones without it.
Yeah, but well, I did when I wrote the Disconnected article that, for one of the sites.
Aye, I remember it. Aye.
When I wrote that article, I did predict that, and I predicted that, a couple of other things as well with the Kinect, and I think it was a disaster waiting to happen, to be honest. The PlayStation camera, I think that's much of a muchness. I don't think that you're going to...
Well, to be fair, I mean, the PlayStation camera, it released with the same kind of idea as Kinect. It was going to let you do all these things, but at the same time, they've gave it the functionality that it needs to survive with other stuff. Because obviously you can broadcast to Twitch using your PlayStation. So the ability to broadcast to Twitch with video from your PlayStation 4 is a really good idea, and I don't know if it does it with the Xbox One, because I've never actually tried to stream using my Xbox One.
Alright.
But I mean, even the Xbox One had its issues. when I'd first started recording video using a capture device, there was an issue with the Xbox One where there's certain security built into it that if you've been watching Netflix, it throws up this security that it won't let you record through your HDMI cable, because obviously you'd be recording like Netflix or anything like that. You can only record gameplay.
Yeah, that was
But
that was the same with the PlayStation 4.
aye,
HD
but
record.
well, it was that, but the PlayStation, as soon as you're finished recording, or as soon as you're finished watching Netflix, it turns that security back off. But the Xbox One wouldn't. So what you'd have to do is do a full power cycle of the Xbox, turn it off completely, turn it back on before you could start gaming and playing and recording.
Oof.
So you could go, I mean, you could come out of Netflix and go in and play a game, but you couldn't record any of your gameplay.
Oh, I
But
didn't actually know that.
so that was the issue that they had. They ended up, I don't know whether or not they ever fixed it, because I've never actually tried recording from it since. And this is well over a year ago, so
Well,
that shows you how much it annoyed me that they did that kind of thing.
well,
You've actually got to turn your console completely off just to turn the security off.
I personally think that Microsoft know that they've got a mountain to climb right now.
Oh, definitely.
They have to restore faith, and I think with the disaster that was the Halo Master Chief Collection, with the ongoing saga of the release date of Quantum Break, I think that they've reached the point where they have to release something that is unknown, hasn't been rumoured, hasn't been leaked, something entirely new, and it has to be something that people will, on first look, will want, will want to play, and it has to be exclusive to Microsoft. They have to have a platform seller. I don't think Halo 5 is the answer. I think people are going to be quite wary of that, especially the multiplayer aspect. And I know a lot of people who buy Halo, not so much exclusively for the multiplayer, they'll play through the storyline, but multiplayer's their thing.
Yeah, multiplayer is essentially what kept the Xbox above, what kept their heads above water back in the original Xbox and the Xbox 360 days. They were able to get massive amounts of multiplayer, and they were able to charge quite a decent amount for it. So that's what kept Microsoft in the gaming industry. I mean, I think if Xbox One fails, that'll probably be their last attempt at gaming.
Yeah.
But Halo 5, I mean, obviously everybody's been seeing the adverts for months now. It's the the advert's quite good because it shows the duality of the game as well. So I think there's going to be two campaigns. I think there's going to be the fight between the Master Chief and where he's going for the rest of his story, and then there's Spartan Locke, who, if anybody's watched the Halo stuff that came with the Master Chief, that was I think it was like a 5-part series or 5 episodes or something. That Locke he's one of the Oni intelligence guys, and I think because of the amount of stuff he's capable of doing, I think he ended up becoming a Spartan. And I think that's why he's now in the 5th game as well. So the stuff from I think it's called Nightfall, the name of the series.
Yeah, Halo Nightfall.
It's Nightfall. Aye, so that, I mean, Nightfall essentially revolves around Spartan Locke. I'm not even Spartan Locke. He was just Locke there. He wasn't a Spartan. So there's every possibility that leads up to where he's finished his mission at the end of Nightfall, and because of the work that he's done and the outcome of that mission, he's been put forward to become a Spartan, or he's been put into the Spartan program to hunt down the Master Chief because he's not following orders. I think that's potentially what the story's going to be. He's so desperate to fix Cortana, who at the end of Halo 4 was very, very damaged. I think the Master Chief's now putting everything apart for Cortana's safety aside, and he's trying to get Cortana fixed. So Locke's been put into the Spartan program to hunt down the Master Chief, and I think that's where that story is going to be. But I think there may be two storylines where you play certain parts, or it may just be a mixed storyline where you play as the Master Chief for a couple of missions, and then you play as Locke, who's going to make his way. He's going to be using some kind of. It'll be different, obviously, because he's not the Master Chief. It'll probably be different choice of weapons, different abilities. I think there'll be. He's using whatever detective skills he's got to try and hunt down, finding clues and stuff to find Master Chief. So I think it's one of those. I think there might even be a part where it depends on how good you are in each of the levels, how close he gets to you as well.
Yeah,
So it could.
make it quite interesting because that would add a whole new level of difficulty to it as well. You know, because you'd have your game difficulty levels, and then you would have the added factor, like some kind of algorithm that if you're on the hardest difficulty setting, then Locke himself is, you know, he gets much closer to you.
Mhm.
You know, that would actually add a whole new element to the game. So that would be a great innovation if they did it.
It would be cool. It would. I mean, I don't know whether or not they've thought of this, or it's even going to be something that's thought of. But I mean, it's one of those things that I think would really help the game. It could bring it back up to the kind of standard that, like obviously Halo 3 and Halo Reach were. I mean, everybody played that game. I don't know very many people who didn't. So, I mean, it's quite easily one of those things that 343 industry really need to pull their finger out if they're going to manage this and another title, because obviously they were looking to build their own trilogy out of this.
Yeah, definitely. Now,
But yeah, back to Microsoft. I think they're going to be showing Forza Motorsport 6 as well. I think they may I think Microsoft may muddy their waters again. Obviously, E3 for most gamers are all about consoles, but Microsoft have got this thing about Windows 10. Anybody with a Windows 10 computer is going to be able to play their Xbox One games as long as their PC is capable of it. So I really hope that they don't, but I think they may push the Windows 10 angle as well, where they'll be, this game's coming out and you'll be able to play in Windows 10 as well, and this game's going to come out and you'll be able to play that in Windows 10 as well. And I think they may lose a lot of people there. Obviously, they will be showing Call of Duty Black Ops 3.
Well, Forza.
That's literally without a doubt, because Activision and Microsoft love each other so much that Call of Duty always ends up on their stage.
Yeah, but the strange thing is, even though there was a Microsoft Xbox video compilation made for the review of Black Ops 3, all of the marketing material that came along with it was Nintendo. It was PlayStation, sorry. You know, so I'm not too confident about that. Now, Forza 6 is confirmed for this year's E3. To be
right. I think also with Sony getting the exclusivity for Street Fighter 5, I think that Microsoft will probably push quite a lot of their Killer Instinct stuff as well. I think they'll probably get another new season of DLC coming for Killer Instinct that they'll be pushed.
You really think so?
Just to counter the fact that Street Fighter 5 will be solely on a PlayStation stage this year.
Well, that's a positive.
Because I mean, again, I know people in the industry. I obviously know you know him as well, the community manager for Capcom. He's already at E3, so Capcom are showing. So obviously, Street Fighter will be on the Sony stage. So I think Microsoft, yeah. So I think Microsoft will push another season of Killer Instinct DLC just to counter the fact that Sony have got Street Fighter.
Yeah. Well, there's only really 2 games on the confirmed, definite 100% list that we know of, or that I know of. Sorry, for Microsoft that we haven't really mentioned. You mentioned earlier got Gears of War 4, but
Mhm.
there's also going to be Fable Legends.
Fable Legends is actually a really good game.
Yeah.
I've been in the beta for that recently, and it is. I mean, I played it at E3. E3. Sorry, I played it at Eurogamer last year as well, and it is a really really fun game. It's one of those 4v1 type games where the one person is the bad guy, but he's not on the level floor. He's the one putting all the bad guys out to try and trap you.
Oh, he's like
So
a
he's more well he's it's essentially the commander role where he's dropping all the bad guys and he's the one that's trying to trap you and kill you before you get to the end of the level and beat the end of level boss.
Interesting.
So the four people that the other four characters, they're the heroes, they're the ones that are fighting their way through the level. They've got different skills and stuff. The one that I'd played, I think there's obviously four. There's one of the big brute type ones, the ones that can tank and take a lot of damage. I think there's a long range one, a magic user, and the one that I went was I don't know how you'd explain it. It was a female, but she threw different types of apples. So there was like poison apples and explosive apples and stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. But she had
Possibly
this
the
kind of
Wicked Witch of the South.
well, that's it. She seemed a lot like how would you explain it? Snow White.
Yeah,
She had a Snow White vibe about her, but it's obviously she's throwing all these dangerous types
yeah,
of apples and
Maleficent.
stuff. Aye, essentially aye.
Aye.
But what I thought was good as well is it's not just run through hack and slash type stuff. Each of the characters have got an ability to dodge as well. And the character that I had played had, if anybody ever watches Bleach in anime, it was a kind of flash step, but it was like a quick teleport left, right, back, or forward, depending on what way you were moving when you hit the button. So you could completely avoid damage because it was a quick teleport. But because I've obviously played through Devil May Cry and all that kind of stuff, it becomes second nature to a gamer to be able to dodge when damage and
Yeah.
stuff are coming in. So I was the only one out of the team of four who didn't die. It was like you had a couple of lives that you could use. So I was the only one that didn't die because I was spent so much time just flash stepping back and forward, throwing in bombs and stuff. And I think I get the second highest point score. And then I hadn't died, I hadn't used up any of my life, so I ended up with this little purple cape with an apple on the back of it. So I mean, I thought that was great. The fact that they were giving out stuff like that to players just because they were doing well. So I've got that wee purple cape hanging up in the man cave.
Brilliant. Well,
But it is a really fun game as well, though, because obviously they're using a lot of the lore for the rest of the Fable games as well. So you've got a lot of the monsters that you've seen in other Fable games, and
yeah.
you've got a lot of new ones as well. But they've made it in such a way that it looks. I mean, you can look at screenshots and it looks exactly like a Fable game.
Yeah, you know the style, you know the artwork, that sort of thing.
But I think, obviously, even though Fable Legends is going to be, there is a very good possibility that there's another single player Fable in the cards as well.
Aye.
Because I mean, Fable Legends it's so close to being finished that they could be wrapping it up with a skeleton crew and have already moved on to something else or had something else in the works the whole time. What else? Elite Dangerous. So there's an Xbox One version of Elite Dangerous coming. So that's
I didn't know that.
There is. But I mean, you can imagine how big Elite is as a game. So that's a huge thing.
Now,
Even though
the most talked about game from last year's E3 was Rise of the Tomb Raider, because it was announced it was going to be a timed exclusive.
Aye, Xbox are getting it first.
Yes.
Well, originally it wasn't a timed exclusive. They ended up changing that. It was supposed to be a complete exclusive to Xbox.
Exactly. Now, I think that's going to be shown. I think it's going to go on sale this year. Is it going to be the system seller Microsoft are needing right now?
It might be, because I mean, I wasn't massively impressed by Tomb Raider when it was first shown. Again, this was like 2 years back in fact maybe 3 years back now at Eurogamer, and I'd played the demo, and as I've probably told you on podcast before, I'm not a fan of quick time events. I don't like the idea of being able to do something that your character can do, but hit buttons to do it instead.
Yes.
So like, do this button to dodge left when your character can physically dodge left anyway. So
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like the idea. I don't like the idea of quick time events that are unnecessary. And it seemed when I was playing the demo for it at Eurogamer that it was full of quick time events that were completely unnecessary. So I wasn't a fan of it. I ended up buying it from my work for something like £17 when the definitive edition came out on Xbox One.
Uh-huh.
So that I did leave it that long until, I mean, it was literally only a few months ago that I bought it, but I actually really enjoyed it. So I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what Rise of the Tomb Raider's capable of, because once I get past the idea, I think they'd scaled back on the quick time events as well, because there was bits for the demo that had quick time events that I don't remember being in the full game. So I'm actually quite excited to see what they're capable of making for the second game, because obviously she's gonna have all the skill set that you ended up finishing the game with.
Uh-huh.
So there's got to be yeah, well, that's it. She's going to have advanced even further, because she's now an actual Tomb Raider this time. It's not just girl trapped on an island just doing what she can to survive.
She's actually doing an excavation, and
yeah, she's purposely out to do what she's doing now.
I believe that it starts off in, I think it's either Alaska or maybe the northern tundra of Siberia. Mountainous, lots of snow. You know, it could even be Nepal, I don't know. Now, Sony. Well, first we'll deal with the rumours, I think.
Okay.
The rumours, of course, being, as they always are, The Last Guardian.
Aye. The Last Guardian is a game that's been knocking about for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, the current rumour is that Mark Cerny and his team, the same team that gave us the actual PlayStation 4, and the underrated game Knack, they're the team that are finishing off The Last Guardian. I personally, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I want Last Guardian to be at E3. If it's not at E3, I will not in any way, shape or form be all that bothered. I'd love for it to be there, but it's been that many years, it's been rumoured that many times that it's just became a cliche of itself.
Yeah, it's another one of those constantly rumoured ones. It's in that list again with games like Shenmue and Half-Life 3, and obviously Fallout 4 was in that list up until recently. So it's going to be one of those ones where if they are making it, then fantastic, I'll probably play it. But if they're not, then it'll be like Fallout 3 or Half-Life 3, and I'll just wait until sooner or later once they do make it or they don't, and it'll disappear.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I don't see the point in getting all hyped
for a game that might not even be there.
Yes, exactly. I mean, from some of the artwork and that, and I've showed you some of the artwork that has been, released or put out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It all looks wonderful, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be there, or it's going to be.
No, that's true. I mean, it could be, and for a game that's it's held in such high regard that, I mean, it could be there. They may choose to once again push it back or completely avoid the rumours, or they may keep it for Gamescom.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they don't want to blow the load all in one, because they only have a certain amount of time and they've got to try and be as impressive as possible. But throwing too much in will end up just making a mess of their show as well. They want to get the specifics out. They want to get the stuff that's big enough that it's going to have everybody liking it.
Yes, exactly.
So you're always going to have the EA Sports games. You're always going to have the first person shooters like Call of Duty. You're always going to have the big ones that each of the companies are paying through the nose for, like obviously Halo, Gears of War, Uncharted 4, which, let's be fair, it's we know it's coming, so there could be a video, there might not be a video. Mass Effect 4 again is going to be one of those ones. Legend of Zelda,
That'll be there.
that's obviously been pushed back to 2016, but there's got to be a video because there was a video last year.
Yes. Star Fox 2 for Nintendo as well.
Yeah,
To me,
Star
that's-
Fox is going to be their killer app this year. That, Mario Maker, Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah.
Um,
Mario versus Donkey Kong is another.
yeah, that'll be on the DS format.
And I think a lot of them. I think a lot of these games will be released this year. I think
Mhm.
Nintendo. I think Nintendo had a long range plan with the Wii U, and because of whatever setbacks they had, financially, over the last wee while with regards to their console division, whatever setbacks that division had, I think have been rectified, and now they are effectively, if you were to say they're a part of the alleged console war, then they're in third place and they're racing to catch up. But what they're using to catch up with is some of the biggest titles that they've ever released. You've got
Mhm.
Legend of Zelda Wii U, which I agree with you, we'll probably see a video, probably gameplay like they did last year with Hyrule Warriors. I think we definitely know Star Fox 2 is going to be there. That is, to me, a Star Fox bundle for the Wii U. All those nostalgic retro gamers, guys like myself. Sometimes, I'll sit and I'll play an emulator and play a NES game or whatever. Every so
Mhm.
often I'll do that. Harken back to the good old days when there was no net code to worry about, no issues like that. And everything was on one
Well,
cartridge.
that's what's good about Nintendo though. Nintendo, unlike other companies, they won't release games and then patch them on the day that you buy them because they weren't finished. Nintendo will wait until they're done. They will push back. They don't owe anybody anything. They'll bring out their games when their games are ready, and that's why they're always so polished and so
Yeah.
well made.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike the other companies who look at the Master Chief collection last year. The game single player was all right, but the online was an absolute mess.
Yeah,
It took them months to get it fixed, and that's why anybody who bought it within the first month got ODST for free.
Yes. The other game the other big name title over the last few while that had serious issues, which was Drive Club.
Mhm.
You know.
Well, Drive got a mess up until
Yeah, exactly. Now, one of the other things that we know for certain that Sony's going to show is what they call Project Morpheus, which is their virtual reality.
yeah, Sony's VR.
Now, when I seen when the Oculus Rift reveal was on the other day, the thing that struck me was the controllers. I mean, I knew the headset itself would look stupid. Any of these headsets, any of these VR headsets are going to look stupid until they come up with a headset that it looks like a pair of glasses, self-contained.
Well, the closest you're ever going to get to decent looking headset glasses is what Google's Google Glass.
Yeah.
That's the closest you're going to get, but it's got to be one of those things that is capable of fitting on anybody's head. So it's got to be big enough, but it's got to also give enough room for people who wear glasses. Or
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it only works for people who can use it. Well, there's a lot of people who are colorblind, so it's going to be difficult for them to see that kind of stuff because obviously VR and 3D is all based on the fact that colors are split. So if you can't see a certain color, then you're screwed. You can't use this headset.
Exactly. So if you're colourblind, there's no point in buying a VR headset.
Yeah, even if you've got a deficiency in one eye for colour, it's going to be really difficult for you to be able to see that. There's got to be some kind of, you put that headset on, you have to go through a massive calibration just to get it working for you.
Yeah, there has to be that. I don't think they'll be able to work right out of the box. But going back to what I was saying about Oculus, the thing that struck me was their controllers, and I don't mean the Xbox One controller that.
Oh, you're talking about the two nunchucks.
Yes, and that actually got me thinking of something when we worked on PlayStation and Xbox Ramble. Something that I'd found out about a patent that Sony had put in for a controller that it could connect together and break apart and that sort of thing. And I think that the Oculus Rift controllers look not so much similar, an entirely different actual look and shape, but it was the same kind of principle. A controller for each hand, and I thought maybe Sony are going to show something like that with Project Morpheus. Because to me that makes sense.
I mean that patent that you're mentioning as well essentially was the replacement for the PlayStation Move, the ugly ones with the golf balls on the end of them.
Yes, that you had to recalibrate every time you actually move.
Because the camera couldn't see them. The camera was horrible. Yes. I've still got the camera. It's sat on top of my PlayStation 3 right now, but I could not tell you where the ones are because, let's be fair, I think I've used them once in the entire time I've had the PlayStation 3 because it sucked.
Yeah, the ones would have been better off being used by Harry Potter, let's be honest.
the ones, I mean, to be fair, everybody get into motion control. The ones were Sony's version of the Nintendo Wii controller.
Yes.
Xbox didn't bother with a controller. They just brought out the Kinect and decided that you were the controller, which I had such high hopes for it, but it never panned out the way Xbox were going to hope to do. Because most of the games you had to be standing up, and how many gamers do you know that actually want to stand up through the course of their entire gaming session?
The only time you'll get gamers rushing to do anything is in a zombie apocalypse.
Or getting to the kitchen and back with a drink before the game finishes loading. Or before the next match starts.
Exactly. It's just one of those. But there's plenty of rumours, and there always is surrounding Sony and Microsoft and even Nintendo. Is there any games that you know for a fact that Sony or is going to be presented by Sony? Is there anything that you think will be there? Personally, I know 100%, or I believe 100%, I should say. Let me rectify. I don't know, folks. I just believe 100% that Guerrilla Games are going to show their new IP, which, as we all know, has been going under the name Project Horizon.
Aye, they're definitely going to be showing something there. I don't think it'll be playable, but they're definitely going to be showing whatever it is they're going. It's not going to be a Killzone game. I definitely know that. Yep. It's a brand new IP. It's not something that they've already been dipping their toes in the past. It's there are very few rumours when it comes to the game because they've managed to keep this quite close to their chest. What else? I want to say that there's going to be a video for Uncharted 4. There's obviously not going to be any. I don't think there's going to be any gameplay stuff.
The Nathan Drake collection.
Well, that's 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
So obviously they've already done the release for that. So.
Yes, but they've obviously done the release, but you'll be able to play it there, because it's the remastered one. They'll want.
Aye. Well, it's the same as every other remaster that they've been firing out recently. Been some games have got remasters recently that one didn't need it, and two didn't deserve it. I mean, there are games that have come out that deserved the remaster for the new consoles, but there's others that came right at the end of the last console generation's lifetime that they were as good as they were going to get on that system. So why did they really need an update something like 4 months later for a new console? There are certain games that I believe were only released on the old consoles because they were already being made for the new consoles and they didn't want to wait. So they've downgraded them for the old consoles to make some money and then brought out their what they're calling the remastered edition.
But which was originally the intended.
They were originally intended for new consoles.
Yes. I think.
I mean, games like The Last of Us. The Last of Us, I think, was definitely supposed to be a PlayStation 4 exclusive, but they probably had some extra time, so they thought, right, we'll downgrade it, we'll stick it on the other console and make some money from that as well.
Exactly. That's what I think. I firmly believe that too. I genuinely think that this year, we obviously know the new Ratchet and Clank game is coming.
I think there's going to be a new Resistance title as well.
Do you think so?
I think there'll be a lot more push on No Man's Sky as well.
Oh, yeah,
obviously, that's a PS4 exclusive, and that game looks so good.
That is a certainty. I know for a fact I'll be getting that.
I'll be getting that. I'll spend a lot of time playing that.
I don't mind travelling through 5 billion star systems.
Well, that's it. I mean, there's quite literally the game is so massive that you'll never manage to finish it in your own lifetime.
Yes. Could you imagine? You're in that game, with a group of friends, and you're so far apart from each other. None of this flying.
You could never actually meet up.
That to me, that's like wow. That game is huge, humongous.
Aye, it is. It's such a massive game. I mean, what else? Sony. Red Dead Redemption.
Do you think
the new one? There's either going to be a remaster. I'm hoping it's going to be a remaster, or it's going to be this. Is it the prequel one? Was it Red Dead Revolver?
Yes, Red Dead Revolver.
So it'll be Revolver 2 or something like that. So I think that might be there. We obviously know that Guerrilla's going to be there with their new one. I think there'll be a decent Morpheus demo as well.
Right.
PS Plus version of Drive Club. I think they'll re-announce that.
Yeah.
No, let's be fair. It's been that one of those games that has been out that bloody long that it's been broken that long as well. I think they'll just end up turning around and say like everybody can have it.
Yes. Millions of people across the world will go, we wish for refunds.
I'm hoping Last Guardian's going to be there.
So man.
Get it out of the way. Battlefront. I think Sony will lead with Battlefront.
Do you think so?
I think they will.
I think that would be. I think Sony would probably be in a better position to lead with their own stuff and mix and match throughout the presentation.
Well, I mean, EA.
That's if EA don't announce it.
I mean, EA's got the rights for it, obviously. Disney's got more money than God at this point, so I think they'll get in bed with Sony and push it as big as possible. So I mean, it's a good possibility that there'll be one of those AT-ATs standing over the stage. They'll probably announce exclusive DLC for it as well.
Yes, I do expect DLC to be announced. I would also expect to see announced one or two, new, games along that. Not so much the exact same kind of game as that, but those niche games that end up being, really, really good.
Mm.
It's only if your eyes drawn to it do you want to buy it. But I think they're going to announce a couple of not so much independent titles, but they're going to announce a couple of games that you're going to sit back and you're going to go, oh, that's something new, or that's a different way of doing that. I would never expect that to have been done. That sort of thing.
Right, I've got another one as well. I mean, Sony's always been a big backer of the Destiny franchise, so there is a lot of buzz about a couple of new things that are going about as well. Obviously, the House of Wolves is no longer updated, and as far as I've been told, it's a brilliant update and expansion. There is another expansion. It's codenamed Comet at the moment.
Yes, I was actually reading about that before we started recording.
I think Sony will throw the money at Bungie and Activision to be the ones to announce what Comet is. It's supposed to be releasing in September as well. So, to be fair, I think. I mean, I think we spoke about this months ago as well. I think the end game for Destiny is that see the Traveller, the big ball that lives on Earth.
It's a
I
bad
think that I think there's going to be another one, and I think it's going to be the baddie that they constantly talk about, the Darkness. I think that's the one that's controlling all the bad guys and telling them to go to Earth to destroy it.
Yes.
So I think there will be another Traveller, and it might be Comet.
Yeah, possibly. Yes, I never even thought of that. That's a shout. Now, just quickly before we wrap up, okay, right? Something that you would like to see at E3.
Something I'd like to see.
Something you'd like to see announced.
I'd like to see them announce. Is this just Sony or is this all consoles?
Take your pick.
I'd like to see Sony and Microsoft announcing either a price drop on their consoles or consoles with bigger hard drives, or the ability to connect your own hard drive of any size.
Well, I know that you can already do that with Xbox One. Right. Here's what I'd like to see announced. Now, I've got a list of 2 things I'd like to see announced. However, one of them would probably be for another podcast. I'd like to see Left 4 Dead 3 announced. I don't think it will be, because we know that Valve we're not going to.
Yeah, we're also hoping that Valve are going to push the what would you call it, Half-Life 3.
Yes.
I'm really hoping that Half-Life 3 is this year's.
Well, Valve aren't at E3 this year. So
well, there is a PC thing going though. I don't know if they're involved in that, but
they may very well be one of the biggest names in PC gaming, so I would expect them to be. But I think any announcements from Valve about games will come at Gamescom.
it could possibly be. It could possibly be. I mean, they may just have paid for some extra.
And that gives me a wonderful opening for my second thing.
Right.
I think Sony are going to announce update 3.0 for the PlayStation 4. Now, update 3.0, from what I've seen in certain places, update 3.0 will allegedly, I say allegedly, because I don't even know if Sony have even considered this, but allegedly it will contain an emulator of some description
for PS1 and 2.
Yes. Now, hopefully that means local disk emulation, and it doesn't mean you have to
being able to download the games. Aye.
Hopefully it's local disk, because if it's local disk and you can still use the stream function, I will stream PlayStation 2 all the time.
Aye, well, the thing is, I mean, I've still got a stack of PS2 games here, including like most of the Devil May Cry's and a whole load of the Final Fantasies. I mean, I've got most of them on PlayStation 1 as well. Yep. So, if we can stream PS2 games and PS1 games, then I will have myself a Twitch channel full of old games.
Yes, exactly. Rocket's Retro Roundup.
Yes, exactly. That'll do for me.
So, is there anything you think Nintendo are going to bring to their presentation? And they're going to
say? Well, obviously they've shown off the new Amiibos, which I said was going to happen. Another one on the list was the fact that what do you call it? What's that farming one that they do? Something Leaf, is that called?
I have no idea.
Well, it's one of the new Amiibos anyway, but I had pushed that one because obviously they want as much Amiibo support on as many of their games as possible to make it a viable financial thing.
Yeah,
so
see, it's strange that you say that. Somebody else said that to me a couple of weeks ago on Twitter, and I pointed out to them that my wife's a big Nintendo fan. I mean, we spent months trying to hunt down the Super Mario All-Stars.
Right.
It took us 7 months to find that for the Wii. It was limited edition. It was a limited number world.
Oh, the box, aye.
and so we ended up finding it. In the shop, the shop, to give the shop that we got it in their due. What they did was they knew we were going to the shop every week and asking, did anybody trade it in or anything like that? No, no, no. And they knew, so they actually, when somebody came in and traded it in, and they kept it to one side, and they says, "Oh, we've got something for you," and gave us it. And I'm not going to say what price they gave us it at because it was a real bargain. It really was.
Right, aye.
But my wife's had the Wii U since it launched.
Mhm.
Right. And where the amiibo sits on the Wii U gamepad when when you're calibrating the amiibo or whatever it is you actually do with the amiibo, I've never used one. That's actually been on that gamepad since launch.
Aye. It's essentially using what's called near field communication. A lot of mobile phones have got it as well.
I know that.
Aye, it's the same stuff that the Skylanders and all that. They've all got it as well. So I mean, it was built for NFC.
Yeah, but
most consoles have got the NFC ability as well now. But I mean, obviously, Nintendo instead of just want to bring out a game that had these wee characters, they wanted to be able to put their characters into other games. So I mean, that's essentially the difference between other games and the amiibo's abilities, because you can have your same character. I mean, obviously you can put Mario and like if you've got the Mario amiibo while you're playing Super Smash Brothers, you can put your Mario amiibo on there, and it will save your stats. So every time you win a fight, your amiibo will level up. Or not every time you win a fight, but yeah, your amiibo obviously gains experience for each time that you win a game. So you can then, as far as I've been told, because I've never actually done it myself, you can set up specific skill sets and stuff for your Mario, so it would be different for the generic one that is part of the default game. So you could have your Mario doing different moves. You could have it doesn't need to be Mario, it could be any one of the characters from any one of the games. But you can then move your Mario over to other games as well. And the characters are supposed to act slightly differently as well, because they're not the generic one that's in the game. So I think that's I mean, I think it's intended to be that in depth. I don't know whether or not they've put enough into each of their games for that to be that in depth. But as far as I remember, when they first released the idea of the amiibos, that's what they were pushing for. Being able to have your own version of Mario.
Yeah.
Where you could decide what kind of characteristics he's shown, what kind of moves he's able to do.
Makes them unique.
Aye. And then you can take your Mario to somebody else's house and play against their Mario, and they could be two completely different characters, different strengths, different abilities, different stats. So that's essentially what Nintendo wanted to do with their stuff, rather than just have a character for a game that was only able to play in that game. Your character could play in any one of the games that they've set up for Amiibo. So obviously it's only ever going to be first party Nintendo games. I doubt many other games are going to want to push that unless they've got their own characters doing it.
This is true as well.
But most of the Amiibos, for what I've seen as well, are all first party Nintendo.
Now, one last thing before we sign off. YouTube, this YouTube gaming thing.
Aye.
Google didn't buy Twitch, Amazon did. So Google have responded in kind by
starting their own.
Right. Now, the majority of videos on YouTube aren't gaming videos. There is a lot of them, but they're aimed at the gaming community.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that YouTube gaming are going to be able to compete?
Well, they might be able. I mean, obviously Twitch has got a head start, but at the same time, Twitch wasn't the original either. Twitch is the baby brother of a site called Justin TV or Justin.tv, which was just a streaming site. It wasn't originally meant for gaming streaming. It was just people on webcams messing about. It was basically Chatterbait without the porn, or Chat Roulette or whatever other ones you want to go to. It was one of those type of things where people seen the ability to do something, so they started using it. So Justin TV thought, right, you know what, Justin isn't but it isn't set up for gaming streaming. It can be if we wanted it to be. So why not start a second site which is solely dedicated for streaming games and far more built around that aspect, so that the server setups and all that kind of stuff are all far more integrated, and they're more streamlined, so that gaming is easier to do.
Yeah.
And that's how Twitch came about.
Do you think that YouTube have got that infrastructure in place?
YouTube are owned obviously by Google, and Google can do pretty much anything they want. I mean, as far as I've been told, Google's servers sit on a gutted out oil tanker in the bay in San Francisco. So, I mean, sooner or later, I think Google's going to just move to an uninhabited island and take over, and this is just going to be Google land. They'll have their own island, and it'll be their own sovereignty and all that kind of stuff. And you'll be able to buy Google. You'll go and live. You can go and live there and buy Google dollars and stuff like that. I mean, they are essentially one of the biggest companies ever.
Yes.
And it all started from just a page that could search stuff for you.
You heard it here.
I mean,
if you trade in binary options, Google's a bet.
There you go. If you want to make yourself some money, just get some cash invested in Google, because sooner or later they'll own a country and you may be able to move there.
Aye.
But I mean, it's Google definitely have the money to put into the research and development of their own streaming channel. Whether or not people are going to want to move over is all dependent on whether or not Google want to make it easy for people to do that. Because at the end of the day, Google they threw a lot of money into the G Plus type of stuff as well. Google Plus never really took off the way that they were hoping, because they wanted to try and move people from Facebook, but didn't make the site as easy to use as Facebook. They purposely didn't make it look anything like Facebook or act anything like Facebook, but they made it too difficult to navigate. Yeah. They put a lot of stuff in it. I mean, it is a really powerful platform, but it's difficult to use.
Yeah,
it wasn't as simple. Well, that was it. I mean, it's good for using. I mean, obviously we're using Google Hangouts at the moment to do this, but it's not. It is really powerful, but again, it's not as simple as Facebook is to use for the social media aspect of stuff.
Exactly. Now,
so that's why they failed on that. They still use it. They still keep it up. There are a lot of people who use it, but just not as many as Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that if they're going to try and compete with Twitch and try and move people from Twitch to Facebook, or to their Facebook, to whatever they end up calling their streaming service,
YouTube Gaming, that's what it's
called. They're going to call it YouTube Gaming.
Yes.
Well, they've failed there then, because it's a mouthful. I mean, what would you rather be telling people? Watch me on Twitch or watch me on YouTube Gaming?
But then you can always just, even people associate YouTube with videos anyway. So immediately, as soon as you say YouTube, they know that you're, and if they're watching your game, then they know you're talking about YouTube Gaming. It becomes an instinctual thing.
But all those people who don't go, who aren't putting videos up of gaming stuff, then you then run the risk of losing all those people, because YouTube then just becomes a gaming platform, and other people see that and they start moving onto the other websites that are capable of hosting their videos.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you've got, effectively the way I see that they would set it up is, if you've got a Google account, you've automatically got a YouTube gaming account. You'll be automatically signed in if you're signed into the Google Chrome browser. That's if you're set up that way. You'll automatically sign in. Now,
anybody who's got an Android phone as well also has the same ability. Exactly. But at the same time, are you for every game that goes on an Android mobile or tablet, are you going to get the option to record your video and upload straight to YouTube Gaming, so that people can see you messing about with Angry Birds?
YouTube Gaming, yeah, I know, but YouTube Gaming's, I think it's actually going to be a
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you're back.
Sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties. As I was saying, I think it's going to be a platform strictly for live streaming, which means for it to compete viably in the current market, it's going to have an app and the streaming capabilities from both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4.
And that's all dependent on whether or not Xbox and PlayStation want to add it, because PlayStation already has Ustream and Twitch. Xbox, as far as I know, has Twitch, and I'm sure there's something else in there. I think it might be their own streaming platform.
But both of them can also upload to YouTube.
Yes.
Which is the key. Currently, they can upload to YouTube, but if you set up a YouTube account like mine's is for live streaming capabilities, then I think that what they'll do is those kind of abilities. You know, if you choose that it's a gaming channel when you're setting your channel up, they'll automatically make your channel a YouTube gaming channel, right? I think that the infrastructure's in place, because all that is just changing the front piece of your actual web, of the actual like YouTube web page. That's all that is. That's all that you have to do.
Aye. Well, see, that's the problem as well. At the end of the day, if you, I mean, I know a lot of people who do live streaming. I mean, obviously, Dialing Ping as well.
Yeah.
His videos aren't always gaming. I mean, there's a lot of videos he does that have got absolutely nothing to do with gaming. I mean, people can Google him; they can find out for themselves. I mean, he's read bedtime stories out of adult bedtime storybooks and stuff like that. There's a video that he's done that's called "Go the Fuck to Sleep," and it's basically a bedtime story for kids. But he's read it in his squeaky Welsh voice, and but not all of his videos are gaming. So I mean, if he decided he wanted to stream gaming as well as do all the rest of his videos, is he going to get the choice to keep it the way it is, or is it because he's decided to do game streaming videos as well? Is it going to automatically change him over to the gaming set?
I think it's different from recording videos to live streaming. That's what I'm saying. I think this is going to be strictly for live streaming.
Right. I suppose we're going to need to wait to find out, because I mean, up all that time, I'm still going to be using Twitch, and I've only recently started using it, but I'm quite happy with what it's capable of. And I think, like most things Google do, they'll probably overcomplicate it, and they'll alienate a lot of people who aren't as tech savvy as most.
Yes, I think there is.
Unless they've got like a three button setup where it's give us your details, give us your console names, and hit the stream button.
Aye.
Unless it's going to be something like that. I've got programs here that are capable of sending to Twitch and YouTube, etc. But it's got pages and pages worth of details and settings and all sorts of stuff. And even though I'm capable of doing it, I don't want to waste all that time. So I go for the more simplistic software that just does it for me. Yeah. I hit the button, I pick the settings, and I move on.
And that's it. It's up and done.
And that's it done. And people are watching me, and I'm able to use the chat app on Twitch to contact or to talk to the people who watch the videos or watch the stream that I'm on at the moment. Yeah. It's far easier for that, and I think Twitch. Twitch have got it down to a fine art where you really don't need to do much other than give your console your login details, and the rest is all done for you. So unless Google really, really simplify it, make it as easy as possible, then people aren't going to want to move over. It's got to be either as easy as Twitch or easier than Twitch. Otherwise, people will be like, well, I've already got like 50,000 followers on here. Why would I want to move to YouTube?
Yeah, exactly.
There'd need to be some kind of monetary incentive that isn't already an inherent part of Twitch.
Yeah. Well, that is us ran out of time for episode 2 of Super Gamblers. We are going to be back after E3, where we'll be analysing what was actually announced, what we're looking forward to,
Let's see how right or wrong we were.
See how disappointed we were. So you'll be able to, you can obviously download this episode and the first episode from the address that we'll be tweeting out tomorrow. So thanks for joining us. I've been your host, Ryan McMillan. He's been Will Rocket Jump Hamilton.
I have.
And good night. Goodbye.